Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I made this linen stitch triangular shawl. Very, very simple. It is a 1-row repeat where we're going to be creating an increase here on the outer edge, each row, as well as a double increase here down the spine of the shawl each row. So each row in the repeat, single repeat, is 4 increases per row. Getting started is a little bit fidgety, and I do have a couple of extra notes to help your finished garment lie flat, be easy to manipulate. But by and large, I would say, as all you need to know how to do is single crochet and chain, this is definitely a beginner's friendly shawl pattern. So let me get to the desk and we can start talking about what supplies you need. Alrighty, you guys. So both samples of this shawl I have done in size 4 yarn. The color block version here was done with a 100% polyester yarn that is a size 4 chain knit construction yarn. The one that I just shared on the dress form is a 100% acrylic yarn, also a size 4, both made with a size J crochet hook. So I would recommend, I think the two best weights to do this shawl in would be a 3 or a 4, or Sport, DK, Aran, and worsted. If you go bulky, the fabric itself is going to be so dense. Even if you go up 2, maybe even 3 hook sizes, you're not going to get a very nice drape. It will go very quickly, but you're not going to get a nice drape. With fingering weight yarn, it is absolutely gorgeous. It would work brilliantly and beautifully. But single crochet with a fingering weight yarn is a little bit of a process. So especially if you wanted to do maybe like a scrap shawl out of fingering weight and just kind of add to it as you go, that would be really pretty. This is a project where more colors will actually enhance the stitch pattern and make it look more intricate, not less intricate. I've said before, when it comes to scrap projects, the more colors, the merrier. The more you add, the more blended and together the project is going to look. But you could do what I did with the striping pattern or the color block option. And that does also show off the stitch and what makes the linen stitch so beautiful. In my samples, I did not block these open. However, if you wanted to, you could block these stitches to where they are far more open and you have a more lacy effect. Personally, I wanted the more closed stitches. As part of the tutorial, I will show you how I grab my turning chain loop as I come back to do a return. It gives us a semi-firm edge without being, we still have stretch and give to block or allow for drape and fall, but we don't lose our shape here with the weight of the shawl. Also, it gives us a nice uniform top edge, even though we are increasing on this edge every single row. But it's a very simple technique. It's not even much of a technique. It's just what I have found works for me to create the edge I wanted up here. So when you pick your yarn, like I said, you know, kind of anything goes, but I would recommend a 3 or a 4. Look at your recommended hook size for your yarn. In this case, this is a size I recommendation. If you have medium or loose tension, go up 1 hook size. So I brought a J up here for this. If you have tight intention as a crocheter, you may want to go up 2 or 3 hook sizes. That way our stitches are not compacted and dense. You do want these stitches to be able to move in their interlocking shape. So I'm going to break real quick for a word from our sponsor, and then we will head on to the tutorial. Hi guys, I just wanted to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Hooks and Needles. Hooks and Needles is a monthly crochet and knitting subscription kit service offering premium yarns from Italy and Portugal, patterns for all skill levels, and supplies to complete a fun and unique project. You have your choice of a knit or crochet adventure for $33.97 a month. Hooks and Needles has graciously offered 20% off your first box to my subscribers with the code Happy Crafty Homemaker 20. I personally cannot wait to get started on this coaster set with my box. Check out the link below to get your curated kit today. And thank you once again to Hooks and Needles for sponsoring today's tutorial. Okay, so I would also recommend having a stitch marker so we can mark our center stitch. As this is a single row repeat, you want to be able to be as mindless as possible and just kind of enjoy the process. There's not a whole lot of counting or anything that needs to be done for this pattern. Excellent beginner's pattern. So we're going to start with our slip stitch here. This is the most difficult part of the entire shawl only because it's fidgety. So we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch in the first chain to make a loop. Chain 1. We'll crochet over the chain or the tail there so it gets out of my way. All right, so this is where we are going to start our shawl here. So we're going to single crochet into our loop, chain 1. Single crochet into the loop, chain 2. I'm going to go ahead and add my stitch marker as this will become our center point. And then the next thing we're going to do, we're going to single crochet. So that gives us our 2 stitches for the single or the point here. Chain 1, single crochet. All right, so we have single, chain 1, single, chain 2, single, chain 1, single. And that is our very first row. This is as difficult as it gets because from this point on, we start our single row repeat. So we're going to chain 1 in order to give us the ability to turn our work. Single crochet into the first single, chain 1. Now you're going to have split open that single crochet. It's probably going to mask your first chain 1 space just a little bit. So you're going to want to open that up, insert your hook into the chain 1 space and do another single crochet. So we have single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. So we have created an increase here. We have turned 1 single crochet on the edge here into 2. So we're going to chain 1. Now we're going to create our point stitch because we're here at the marker. So we are going to, might be easier to see if I remove my marker here. We are going to single crochet into the point, chain 1, and single crochet into the same space. Now we're going to put this through our chain one space here to mark the center again. So we're going to chain one, single in the chain one space, chain one, single into the single. Now an added, you don't have to by any means. I just think it neatens up the edge on a shawl. You see this loop right here? We've gone into the 2 bars of our single crochet. We have this little loop here from our chain where we turned. I like to also insert my hook under that and pick that up and just do a single crochet as you normally would, slightly drawing that leg up just a little bit. It tucks the turning chain in nicely. There are 900 different ways to create a nice straight even edge. When I am doing an increase up against this every single row though, I find this to be the neatest way, tidiest way to do this. So again, our single row repeat is chain one to turn our work. We're going to single crochet into the first single crochet and chain one. We're going to single crochet into the chain one space, chain one. We're going to skip our next single crochet and single crochet into the chain one space, chain one, skip the single crochet. I am sorry for the cats freaking out. If you can hear that. So for the center stitch here, we are going to single crochet, chain one, single crochet into the same chain one space. And I am going to put my stitch marker back under here. I do use split ring markers. You can use whatever style marker you want just to mark that center place. So we're going to chain one, skip single crochet, single into the chain one space, chain one, skip the single crochet, single into the chain one space, chain one, we are going to single into the single, and I'm going to pick up that outer edge of my chain one as well, drawing up the second leg just a little bit longer so it's even. Chain one to turn. And you can see it creates almost a braided effect along this top edge. We have stretch. The stitches will definitely still stretch. We're not losing stretch in the top edge, but it's a little bit firmer than if we skipped it. And we also have an incredibly straight edge forming there. No rippling, no warping, no lumps, bumps, bulges, anything else sticking out there. And if you look at the finished shawl, you can see how it just looks like a nice, neat braided edge there. So again, just as before, we have our chain one to turn, single crochet into the single, that is our first increase, chain one, single into the chain one space, chain one, single into the chain one space, chain one, single into the chain one space, chain one. Now here in the center, we're going to remove our stitch marker. You can see where our 2 stitches are here. So we're going to single into the chain one space, chain one, single into the same chain one space. Place our marker back into the center here so we can visually just see and keep track of where our center stitches are. So we need to skip the next single, which means we need to chain one. Then we're going to single into the chain one space. Chain one, skip the single, single into the chain one space. Chain one, skip the single, single into the chain one space, chain one. We're at the end of the row, so we need to single into that last single. And I am going to bring our turning chain loop up onto my hook. And I am going to single crochet. And once again, where I'm bringing that little loop up, that's not something you have to do. It's, you know, a good blocking, good little steaming. Most people would never notice that. It is just one of those things that I've found over years of making shawls creates a very even edge that maintains its shape over wear. And it's nice and neat and clean, and it does stay very super straight, razor straight across the top of the shawl. So from here, you can change out the colors if you want. You can do the solid color block, stripes, alternating colors. When you are done and you have reached your desired length, one of the things you can do to finish up the shawl, in my case, I just ended it. I didn't do anything to create a final edge here. I just left it as it was. That's how I liked it. This one, I actually just went until I ran out of yarn and could not complete another row. So I had to end it. The pink and green one, I just liked the way the linen stitch edge looked, so I did not do anything special for that. However, if you want to continue to do a border or an edge, I would recommend coming in with just a row of single crochets in our increasing pattern. So you're going to chain one, single in the single crochet, single in the chain one space, single in the single crochet, single in the chain one space, single in the single crochet, single into the chain one space, single into the single crochet, single into the chain one space. For the tip here, for the point, sorry about that, moving my leg on my chair. You're going to single into the chain one space, chain one, single into the chain one space. And that's just going to maintain our point here. And as we come back around, we are going to single into our single, single into the chain one space, I lost what I could see here. Single into the single, single into the chain one space, single into the single, single into the chain one space, single into the single, single into the chain one space, single in the single. Ooh. Drop a little extra length here. Single into the chain one space, single in the single. And this is just going to give you a foundation, a solid foundation. Now, you could, as with many of my tutorials, this is fairly basic just to teach you how to do the linen stitch in the triangular shape. But this is a foundation that you can build on to do whatever you want to help you create your own design. So if you wanted to, you could use this single crochet row now to build another stitch pattern on top of this. So you could turn this into a sampler where you've got linen stitch, the single crochet row, and then maybe granny clusters or V-stitches or cross stitches. And then you come back out, a certain amount of length, do row single crochets, come back to the linen stitch. As the linen stitch is based off of single crochets, it's very easy once you are back to a single crochet to bring back that linen stitch. But if you just want to end the shawl, you could end it with a single crochet row, end it with the linen stitch row, or you could go to a Stittionary. And now that you have this single crochet row, you can build an edge from your Stittionary. One of my preferred go-to finishing edges is just a reverse single crochet. So I would chain one, don't turn the work, and perform a single crochet backwards, moving backwards across my work, allowing my yarn to move back and forth in front of the stitch, moving in reverse. And you can see where that's just giving me a final edge there. This row is kind of covering the single crochet row, so it looks like it's just butting up against our linen stitch. So if we were to block this out, that is the effect we would have there. So the hardest part, like I said, is getting started. So you're going to do a chain 4, slip into the first stitch, chain 1, single, chain 1, single, chain 2, single, chain 1, single, into the loop you create. You only chain 2 for this first one, and that's just so you can see it and get your hook in there. There's no other reason for it but to try to make it just a little bit easier to create. So your following rows after that are chain 1, single into the first single, chain 1, single into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, single into the chain 1 space, single into the chain 1, chain 1, single into the chain 1 space, chain 1, single into the chain 1 space until you reach your center point. And then you're going to do a single, chain 1, single into that one chain 1 space. Then you're going to go back to chain 1, single in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, single into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, single into the next chain 1 space until we come back around to the last stitches, which would be single into the chain 1 space, chain 1, single into the single. And this is a nice reversible fabric. Easy to make, easy to use. You can block it open in a lace pattern or to create a lace pattern, more of a lace effect. or leave it solid like I did, and it gives you a nice, beautiful woven effect. Hence the name, the linen stitch. So I hope you guys understood what I was saying here for this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoy making this shawl. Make sure you share your creations in my Facebook group. It is listed in the description box down below, or tag me on Instagram so I can see your shawls. As always, I love you guys, and I will see y'all real soon. Bye, guys.